Hello, welcome to day 11, quarantine fun. Hopefully, you saw the watch party that I just did a minute ago. It was fortuitous that popped into my feed because the Backstreet Boys, funny enough, are the perfect entree to the little tip I wanted to discuss today and will be continuing throughout this week. I think of it as a brain freeze. Now, as a person with ADHD, one of the things that I had to learn early on was to control what I think of as the spiral. If you think of my brain, it's sort of like a spinning top, or my son's new obsession, Beyblades, like, and it can look a lot like anxiety, which means that sometimes when I'm anxious, I'm not aware of it because that's just is my normal. And what the things that I had to learn to do when I was really young was to, in moments when it mattered, when it counted, or when the spiral was eating up too much of my energy, to become aware of that and sort of get on top of it, control it a little bit. It's seen as a weakness if we can't control every single part of ourselves. But quite frankly, this is a skill that normies don't seem to acquire. I say this meaning I learned it in a specialized setting. It's not one that I've seen even necessarily taught to my children in normal group type settings. So here you go from someone with ADHD that has to learn to control the in the brain. If you find this happening to you, these are a good thing to populate throughout your day. I sprinkle mine in quite regularly. I like to have one around 11, one around 2, another one right before or right after dinner before heading into the bath time, trying to get everyone down, and usually one more before bed. So 3 or 4, sometimes 5 times a day on a really high stress day. And make no mistake, we are in a high stress period. Normally when we talk about stress or we talk about needing tools like this, we make it about the person, like, oh, this person is so weak, they need this extra. We never really look at the situation and say, wow, this situation is so extra, everybody needs a tool. So people feel there's a little bit of shame about needing to do these things. And I don't think shame should be part of the equation, which is why I'm so open in speaking about mine. The tip that is called a brain freeze. To completely understand what a brain freeze is, I look to none other than Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger was interviewed back in like 2000 or 2001 and was asked by people on MTV what he thought of current music, fully expecting him to go the Oasis route and trash everyone around, which was not what he actually ended up doing. He said that the person he admired most was Britney Spears, much to the surprise of the interviewer, who was like, why? And he was like, have you ever bought her album? You ever listened to her songs? Have you ever willingly been in the presence of Hit Me Baby One More Time? The interviewer was like, no. And then he started singing the words. The interviewer and Mick Jagger both knew all the words to Hit Me Baby One More Time. And this went on like absurdly long. And he said that actually is a sign of a great pop music. It's of a great pop song. It's so embedded in the culture that you know it whether you want to or not. And I don't think any of my songs have ever penetrated as deeply as Hit Me Baby One More Time has to this generation. The importance of that and other songs that came out around that same time, like the Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. It's so familiar and such a part of our canon that almost when you hear it, my brain freezes. And I stop, and I kind of want to sing it along. Even though I've never bought the album, never seen them live in concert. They became big while I was in college and when I went abroad. It's not about the attachment you have to the band or to the song. It's about the familiarity. So it's one thing that can cause a brain freeze, that can stop the of my brain going round and round, is something incredibly familiar and a little bit unexpected. And frankly, that makes me happy. So when I hear I Want It That Way, it's a stupid song. If I sit down and think about the words, I don't like it very much. But no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am, if I hear that song, I'm probably not going to be able to continue that spiral because my brain freezes and snaps to attention with this familiar thing that I know all the words to, whether I like it or not. So I have a collection of things that make my brain freeze completely. And I seek them out in those moments when I need a brain break. So the anxiety management tool that is the most important to me is this one. It's creating a brain freeze. It takes a while to become really aware, like, oh, I need that break. I'm going to have a freeze. When stepping out of the situation isn't quite enough, you actually, a brain freeze can happen in a moment when you can't leave the room. You can just start playing the song in your head. It's a bit of a meditation that sort of takes you out of the moment, gives you something familiar, makes you smile, and then it's interesting how much easier the next series of moments are to deal with right after a brain freeze. So that thaw is really pleasant in a way that's hard to articulate. So with that, sitting here in my nest, just had a brain freeze. Backstreet Boys popped up from their live concert this weekend at the moment that I wanted to share it. If it's good enough for Mick Jagger, it's good enough for pretty much anyone. The hallmark of a great pop song, you know it, whether you like it or not, and it will make your brain freeze. Go ahead and have a list ready. This is a tool that will get you through the week. Tomorrow, I'll show you another one of mine. You're coached. You're loved. Let's keep winning at quarantine. See you guys tonight, where I'll show you a couple more moves I do to stop the when I physically need to do it right before bed. Because Backstreet Boys wakes me up, it does not put me down.